Great morning and happy new day here on the East Coast in the USA. I'd like to welcome you to the final episode of season 1 of CLB Live. I am so excited, as I always am, to have you join us live this morning. Thank you so much for carving out some time on your precious Saturday morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you're tuning in from, to invest some time with us to discuss one of my favorite books, personal development books, From Crackers to Caviar, A Guide to Personal Development, by one of my dear friends and mentors, Mr. James Cooper. Now, before we jump into all of the introductions, first let's talk about the purpose of CLB Live. The show was launched in May of this year, May 2014, and it's designed to inspire aspiring and experienced entrepreneurs to reset their creative mindsets for success. Guests of the show are comprised of heart-centered entrepreneurs, authors, and thought leaders whose mission and purpose is to inspire others through their creative work. The intention of the show is to share with my treasured network, with you, the people in my life who impact and inspire me on a daily basis to resist limiting beliefs, tap into creative thinking, and take action every day to live life at its highest potential. So I'm glad that you're on this journey with me today. Thank you for being a part of my journey to success. And today I am joined by just some people in my life. I call them my divine connections, people who have not only said yes to their true purpose on this earth, but also are saying yes to participating with me in my purpose and bearing witness to that. So allow me please to first introduce this awesome panel of guests, my divine connections, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves to you with just a brief, who are you, and how are you here to serve the world, and what's in your cup this morning. So let's start with my very dear friend and divine connection, Roy Montero. How are you this morning, Roy?
Hey, Christine. Hey, everyone. I'm fabulous, thank you. Although it's only 7:04 a.m. here, and I've been up for the last 2 hours. But anyway, Roy Montero, I'm showing up in the world. I want to connect people. So I've got this idea and vision to create a people search engine that's in the works. What's in my cup? Always tea. I was a coffee drinker about 3 or 4 years ago, but now it's tea. And I just want to share a random fact that Jess Duell brought to my mind the very first time we interacted with you this way. So I'm going to share another fact that is random. Let me think. Yeah, Vanna White, we share the exact same birth day, month, and year. Thanks, Christine.
I love that. Vanna White, huh? Very nice. Thank you for being here, Roy. Next is one of my favorite people on the planet. They all are, but I always say this about this particular person, none other than Mr. Rule Breaker himself, Phil Boyer. How are you this morning, Phil?
I'm doing awesome, Christine. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to get up early and be on the show. Yeah, my name's Phil Boyer. I help entrepreneurs break rules. That's my shtick. And in my cup is empty, but it was bulletproof coffee.
Love it. Yeah, my cup was empty too, so I had to get a refill of something else. Thanks for being here. Next, we're going to hop over to Chicago, Chi-Town, and introduce one of the most beautiful people that I've met on Google+, Miss Kit Kat, as I call her. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here. It was fabulous. Some of them I notes to very regularly. Some of them I'm meeting for the first time, but all of you are fabulous. I never know how to introduce myself because I'm not an entrepreneur or anything, but I like to call myself a dreamer, a survivor, a writer, a coffee addict, and a thriller junkie. So that's me.
I love your self-description. Amen to that. Thank you so much for being here. Next, we're going to hop over to the other half of the rule-breaking household, Mrs. Rule Breaker and Mrs. How I Quit Email. Kate Boyer, how are you this morning?
I am doing wonderful. It's very exciting to be here with everyone, so it's very nice. I'll jump right in and say I'm an author, screenwriter, co-founder of Booze Hound Productions, and I just love bringing stories into the world and trying to make people happy. My coffee cup is empty now, so I've moved on to water with my green straw that I always have.
Why green?
Because it's a biodegradable straw, and that's just how it comes. And so, yeah, I can throw it out in the compost bin, and it will, turn to something magical.
I love it. I love how you love on the planet. Love it. Thank you for being here. Next is a lady who has had a tremendous impact on my life and my journey this year. My beautiful, beautiful mentor and dear friend, Jess Duell. How are you this morning, my love?
Hello, hello. I'm doing really well, and I woke up. I couldn't sleep last night. I was so excited about this show. And then I had technical problems, so unlike Kate and Phil, who got to have their bulletproof in their coffee, I'm having hot chocolate because it was still chocolate, even though I don't get the bulletproof piece. So we'll just go with that. And I work with companies and leadership in companies that are feeling the pressure to perform, and they know that they want to create an impact, and they want that impact to extend beyond the company that they work for.
I love it. And in my book, chocolate is bulletproof, honey.
Woo. Well, there is, but there's more stuff you add to it to make it even better. So, not to say that hot chocolate is not amazing.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Now we're going to hop over to a more recent divine connection. However, I feel like I've known this gentleman for years and years, for a lifetime. And to me, that's what divine connections are. None other than Geo Boom. How are you today?
Good morning, everybody, and good morning, friends. I'm doing fabulous, and what's in my cup is coffee and raw cacao powder and stevia. It was a little too early to get the bulletproof on with the grass-fed butter, but I am a fan. And one of my missions is to bring mindfulness to the mainstream. And to the people who need it and require it the most. And those are executives, C-level executives, all the way down to people who populate the cube farms. My father and my grandfather would simply say, you're teaching people how to pay attention. And that's such a rare talent these days. It's considered to be a superpower. So I am definitely honored to be here with everyone. And thank you so much, Sister CLB, for inviting me.
Thank you for being here, love. Love what's in your cup, too. Now we're going to hop over the pond. Yep, across the pond we have two beautiful guests. First, none other than Mr. Transformation himself, Dave Moore. How are you this morning?
Hey, I'm doing very well, thanks. I know I'm doing well because I managed to unmute myself before I started speaking, so I'm really doing well at the moment. My name is David Moore. I'm the owner and founder of the Moore Consortium, which is quite convenient as it shares the same name as me. And our company is HPT Transformation, and we take individuals and companies and look at where they've been, look at where they are now, and see where they want to go. So we transform the way they think, the way they behave, and we take them from zero to hero. And we run seminars and events throughout Europe, and we're coming over to America at the early part of next year. And in my cup, I have the quintessential English drink, which is a cup of Earl Grey tea.
I love the size of that cup, too. You go. Thank you for being here, Dave. It's such a blessing to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Last but certainly not least, on our panel of Divine Connections is a gentleman who just sings to my heart. We're definitely connected at the soul, and he's involved in 2 H's, health and hangouts. How are you, Andy?
Excellent. Thanks for inviting me along, Christine. I seem to have an echo. Apologies. I don't think it's me.
You're good.
But yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. First of all, what's in my cup? There's not much in my cup at the moment. I used to have a cup of tea, but that's finished. But it's a pleasure to be here, and you may be asking what I do, as many people have said what they do themselves, and I help people to communicate effectively online, so connect with themselves and their message, and build a tribe of followers from around the world. And I'm passionate about natural health and well-being, and I'm looking to inspire more people to make healthy choices in life, and hopefully build that tribe of followers so that we can make more of a difference in the world in terms of our health. So that's
I
me.
love it.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here. And here's just a side note, hashtag healthy hangouts. Just put that one under your hat. Okay, so thank you all for being here. And for me personally, I'd like to just introduce myself. If you don't know who I am, Christine L. Bowen. I'm your host today of CLB Live. Today we're going to have just the most phenomenal discussion, perfect discussion to close out this year on how to reset our creative mindsets for success. Now, before I introduce our guest, special guest today, let's talk about how you can participate. First, if you're on Google+, thank you for being part of the studio audience. Love, love, love my Google+ community. Let us know if you're in the audience, what's in your cup this morning, if it is morning for you. If it's not, what's in your cup anyway. You can comment live on the comment stream. I have, do we have echo coming from me? We're live, guys, so we got to make sure you can hear. Are we good? Okay, good. Yep, so comment in the comment stream if you're on Google+. If you're not on Google+, you can use social media to communicate. Our event hashtags are hashtag CLB Live and hashtag From Crackers to Caviar. I have my tweet deck up, so if you're using Twitter, I'll be able to see if you're commenting and sharing on Twitter, okay? Now, let's talk about what's happening today. I got to switch over to my notes. As I mentioned, this is the final episode of CLB Live for Season 1, and every single year I perform what I call a creative mindset reset. CLB Live is in support of the Create, Live, Be mindset movement, and the reason I focus on mindset is I truly believe it's the foundation for everything that we experience in life, be it good or bad. So every single year I prime my mindset for the coming new year. Not unlike many other people, we're always thinking about how can we make the new year better than the current one. Well, part of my ritual is reading this book, one of the best personal development books I have ever read. And every single year I'm reading it, I'm highlighting, I'm earmarking, and I just wanted to share my ritual with you this year. So if you're not familiar with this book, just sit down, grab what's in your cup. Mine is ginger ale, kind of looks like champagne. I figured I'd celebrate based on the name of the book. And let's talk about how we can accelerate your success this year. Now, first, the backstory. This book was written by one of my dearest friends and mentors, Mr. James Cooper. And when we met, it can be summed up in one quote, which is one of my favorite quotes. If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Absolutely. Because when I met him, I was actually scoping him out to share. I thought it was going to be a potential sale, basically. And the first thing he said to me when I sat down was, I'm not buying anything from you. I was floored. That one comment allowed me, it kind of woke me up. I was very new to business networking, and I had a plan, and I thought it was a great plan. And when he said, I'm not buying anything from you, it was a wake-up call. And I said, let me just sit here and get to know these individuals, because his wife was there as well, Regina Cooper, who was a guest on an earlier show. And that one discussion and experience has led to almost 4 years of friendship, laughter, a lot of laughter, and spiritual guidance for me. And a lot of it comes from this book that he's written. So James R. Cooper, if you're not familiar with him, he's a business strategist. He's the co-founder and managing director of Maxer Consulting Group. He's the pastor of Restoration International Christian Ministries, which is designed to prime entrepreneurs for the marketplace. And he's, of course, he's the author of From Crackers to Caviar, a guide to personal development. And here's a side note that I didn't know. He's the Goodwill Ambassador of UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. So, Mr. Cooper, we're hanging with you today. How are you this morning?
I am outstanding. Good morning to you and to this illustrious panel of guests. I'm honored to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. Thank you so much for waking up early with us here on the East Coast in the USA anyway, and sharing your nuggets and wisdom live and direct, because I can only translate what's in here, but to hear directly from you is such an honor. So today we're going to dive into this book and talk a little bit about what's your backstory? What led you to the point of writing this book, and what's up with the name? How did you come up with this name?
So the first thing I write in the book is that I never planned on writing a book, but like you said, God had another plan. And I'm just honored to be his vessel to see it carried through. So how the title of the book came about is we were doing work with Africa, with different countries, trying to bring them resources. And we came from a very important meeting with a high-level dignitary and ambassador. And I was sharing with the person that we were in the meeting with that I thought we were going to be able to, that God was going to use us to bring resources to the people, and we were going to take their lives from living on crackers to living on caviar. And she pointed right at me and said, that's the title to your book. And at the time, I was really torn about writing a book because, like many people, I didn't feel qualified. But something that I've learned along the way is that God uses the unqualified and makes them qualified in the process. So I'm pretty excited about the results of what he and I turned out together.
It's interesting. Now, I have to just personally thank you publicly for just impacting my life, saying yes to that calling and squashing those fears and creating this book and writing this book, because it has truly, truly transformed my life over the years. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. And I forgot to ask you, I was so excited about talking about the book. What's in your cup?
So my cup is actually a plastic bottle, and in it is water, H2O, just to make sure that my throat doesn't get dry while we're sharing some of these nuggets that are going to happen here in the next few minutes or so.
Yeah, that's power juice right there. That's what my mom taught me. So we're going to open this up for a very laid-back discussion. So those of you that are watching in the audience, feel free to participate and join in. We'll be reading your comments as they appear on the screen. Thank you, Kit Kat, for moderating the comments here on Google+. So panel, we're getting ready to dive in. And what we're going to base this discussion on is the 4-step process that Mr. Cooper presents in this book for us to achieve success. It's a simple process and it's a proven process. And first, let me ask you, James, you call it Seeds of Success as your 4-step process for achieving success. So talk to us a little bit about seeds. What are these seeds and how does it relate to us as entrepreneurs?
Thanks. So I also want to just give a shout out to my lovely bride, Regina, who's not with me this morning. She's holding down the home front. We have a guest in our house that's a squirrel running around amongst our roof rafters. So she's trying to de-squirrel us as I speak. So
Oh my goodness.
She's not brave enough to chase the squirrel herself. She's working with it. She's outsourcing it using an entrepreneur. So, but
it's a laugh a minute with you guys.
we keep it interesting, that's for sure. I honor God also who gave me this incredible message. And how this came about was that we have a passion for helping people live their lives to their fullest and to eliminate mediocrity and for people to identify and achieve success. And I have a bomb about that in just a few minutes. But how this came about was that we all have seeds of greatness within us. They were planted there before we were in our mother's womb, and we don't know about them. But they have to be activated, they have to be nourished, they have to be watered, and they have to grow. And I was pondering the process of seeing how these grow. And what came to me, and I was at a breakfast meeting, a mastermind meeting years ago, and my partner and I at the time, a guy named Thomas Pierce, we agreed to come up with our processes, what that meant. And I said, I don't know what my process is, I just do it. And I started thinking about what I do, and here's what we do. Sight is the first one, S, sight. You have to have a clear vision of what you're doing and how you're going to do it. Otherwise, you'll never achieve greatness. People fail because they aren't clear about what they want to accomplish. So you have to have great sight. Next, you have to do something with what you see. Now that you see it clearly, you have to move forward with it, and that's what execution is all about. 90% of the people see it, and they talk about it, but they don't do anything with it. Those 10%ers, the ones who decide to execute and move forward, they achieve so much more than the rest of the world simply because they're willing to try. Now, the next level is execution, is excellence. You have to take it to a higher level. And execution is for all of us closet perfectionists who try to be perfect and we get stuck. Execution, becoming excellent in your execution is being the best that you are every single day. Today I might be here, tomorrow I might be here. It doesn't matter as long as I'm moving forward and doing the best that I can do in that moment. And then the final phase of the process that you have to have a huge sprinkling of is determination. You have to have a bulldog, for my friends across the pond, an English bulldog mentality about achieving your results. You have to have a desire that no matter what, I'm going to see this through. And in those low times and in those quiet times when you don't think you can do it, that's what gets you through is the determination and feeding on what my wife Regina calls your faith file, knowing that I've done it before and I can do this again. So if you apply all four of those principles to any task or goal that you set upon yourself, you can't help but have results.
Amen to that. Now, thank you for breaking down the seeds of success. I love bulldog mentality. Hashtag bulldog mentality, everyone. These are things that we know, that we remember as we hear these types of nuggets. It's things like, okay, yeah, I know that, I know that, I know that. But when we are actually in the circumstance, it's a whole different story, right? When we have to apply the principles. So we're going to open up this conversation and start with sight. I want to break down each of these areas. So with what I love about your book, first and foremost, is that you have based it on the Holy Scriptures, and you have put it into such a practical, applicable format based on these stories from the Bible that really inspires me to action. I love how you've done that. And then you've taken each section and broken it down into very easy to read and digest chapters. Love that it's an easy read. So this year, personally, what I did, because each section of the four, sight, execution, excellence, and determination, is broken down into 3 or 4 chapters. So this year, instead of reading the book from front to back, which I did 3 prior years, I decided to, as you suggested, look at each section and read the section that I feel I really need at this time in my career and in my life, basically. So in sight, there are 3 chapters: mind sight, breaking all the rules, and my favorite, mindset matters. So panel and Mr. Cooper, we're going to break this down, and I'm going to kick off the discussion with a quote from section 1, sight. Okay?
Okay.
Mr. Cooper says, before we can look to our environment, we have to take a long look at our environment. So let's talk about this. We'll kick it off, of course, with Mr. Cooper. Give us your perspective on why you shared this and why you said this, and then anyone who'd like to join in and chime in, you're more than welcome to.
Well, success grows on the inside and is revealed on the outside. And so many people think it's the opposite. If I'll become a success, I will get better. That's not what happens. You have to get better in order to achieve your success. And most people miss that. Hey! So what we've learned is that if you take care of your environment, the person that's in here, and you achieve the right pH balance, the right environment to grow and to achieve greatness, then it will manifest itself on the outside, and you'll see it in all the things that you do, and it can't help but be a byproduct of it. And here's a nugget that I don't think many people understand about success. Success is not a goal. Success is a byproduct of determining a course of action, pursuing that course of action, and achieving results. That's what success is. And many people start with New Year's resolutions of becoming a success and doing great things. Well, you can't do that because, bottom line is, that's just too vague. But if you set specific goals, what that does is that activates that environment, and everything starts moving forward to achieve those goals, and as a byproduct, you become a success. Oh, Christy, I think you're muted still.
I like that you. Oh, there you go, Kristen. Okay.
Go ahead, Jessica. Thanks for having my back.
Yeah, no problem. I like everything that you said, and I think something is worth exploring a little bit more because of how you worded everything, and that's when we talk about success starts within, and it starts inside, and we can look out and we can see things, and we may even go out to get energy, but until we bring that energy in and process it, we don't have anything to move forward with. And so do you have a step or an insight for that first thing so we can change away from I'm going to become and realize I already am?
So just to paraphrase your question, you're asking about it from a language point of view or a process point of view?
I think whichever moves you to answer, because both are very valid and great answers. Will be great answers. Yeah.
Well, I think what I'll do is I'll do a hybrid answer of both. So,
cool.
Yes. For example, the Japanese create a 100-year plan. And they go, well, how do you know what we're going to do in 100 years? We said, well, because we have a plan we're going to follow. Well, biblically speaking, that's Habakkuk 2 and 2. Write the plan, make it plain, so that others may follow it. Part of the others is you. I think that in order to achieve this, first you have to recognize what I want to accomplish, what I think is right for me, and then start to execute on it. So now once you're clear about how you want to do it, now all the steps start to fall in place. When we wanted to buy a house, it seemed like it was the furthest thing from the world. We've never done it. We were scared. We were afraid of the process. We were stuck in it, and we didn't know how to achieve it until we decided to say yes. So the first thing you have to do is you have to surrender to the commitment. You have to say yes inside to yourself that I will do this. Then just start to declare it to other people, and the vision becomes clear to them. And what you'll find is, my wife loves to talk about, Regina, are dream carriers who will help you achieve it and show you that it is possible. Once you see it's possible, now you can start to run down that path to see it. So from a process point of view, the first step is saying yes to yourself, that one, I'm allowed to do it, I deserve to do it, and I have the ability to do it. And then telling others about it so that those who are trusted, those who have your back and are there who can help you carry that dream, will see it to fruition with you.
Isn't that the truth? Jess is the one that posed the question, and Jess has definitely been one of my dream carriers. Roy, everyone on this panel has been a part of helping me fulfill my dream. I love that. Love, love, love that. I just want to take a station break. We're already half an hour in. Time goes too fast. I want to welcome our viewers. Sim Young, I'm so happy that you're here. And we have Nicole. Welcome, welcome out of Canada. We have Elena. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here and participating in the conversation. And again, thank you to Kit for keeping everyone engaged and loved in the audience. And this is CLB Live. You're watching with none other than James R. Cooper, author of From Crackers to Caviar. Today we're talking about seeds of success and how you can nurture your seeds to make 2015 your best year yet. So we're going to transition back into the conversation and open it up with Roy Montero, one of my deepest divine connections from California. Go ahead, Roy.
Yeah, James, you just reminded me of a really good one-liner that I like to live by, and that is, it's really hard to steer a parked car. So what I heard you say was you need to just put that car in drive and start moving, because it's easier to steer that car and make a left or right turn when you get to that point. So just start moving 5 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. Is that kind of sort of what I'm hearing you say?
Absolutely. But before you get moving, you got to wipe the windshield and make sure it's clear, right? So we were talking about that sight phase. I think we're now, the processes bleed obviously in and through each other. They can't be disjointed, they have to all flow together. But absolutely, when it comes to execution and moving forward, most people get paralyzed by the analysis, paralysis by analysis. Where do I start? How do I get moving? Just get moving. One of my dad's favorite messages or things that he told us as young men is that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step, right? And you just have to be willing to take a step. One of the things we discovered is that we were paralyzed by taking steps in the wrong direction. You know, what if I go the wrong direction? So what? God will guide you back into the right way. You won't lose anything. You'll gain something, and you'll probably find something valuable in that what you thought was that wrong place or that bad place to help you on that journey to achieve the results that you're destined to have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Geo Boom, you had a comment you wanted to contribute to the convo?
I do, and as you know, this is one of our favorite subjects. We're talking about sight, which is equal to vision.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite scriptures is 2 Corinthians 5:7. We walk by faith, not by sight. And for me, faith is more than hope. Faith is inspiration and trust. And that becomes the catalyst for our inner visions. We must feed our inner visions to the state that we have certainty. Then we can walk by faith, not by sight. And the next step forward is always illuminated by our divine inspiration and by our certainty and by our vision. That's for me, that's the equation. Christine, you and I have danced around in that playground forever. And that description, that equation, allows me personally to walk by faith in every moment that I choose to remember.
Absolutely. Yeah. The vision part of the equations, it sings to my heart. And before I provide my transition commentary, Kate, I think you had something you wanted to share?
Yeah, real quick. I wanted to say that I think if we allow ourselves to start messy, then we don't have to worry about perfection. And it just helps us take that first step. And my personal motto that I have after I take that first step is keep swimming. And I write that down in my journal every day. Keep swimming and stay focused.
Absolutely. Definitely. How about you, Dave? You had a comment to share?
Yeah, as far as what's been said, you know, I agree with everything so far. But we're part of the seminar training that we do with people is that we describe there being three S's to success, and they are see it, start it, and sustain it. And a lot of people cannot see themselves being successful. Until you can see yourself being successful, you won't be successful. When people say, I can't imagine doing that even in my wildest dreams, well, if you can't see yourself doing that in your wildest dreams, you're not going to see yourself doing it in reality, because if you haven't got dreams, all you've got is nightmares. Mm-hmm. And so if you can see yourself being successful, and then you start it, and as we said, I think Kate said, you start it, whether it's messy or whatever, as long as you start, and you've made taken some course of action to make what you can see in your mind a reality. Action is everything. It's like the law of attraction. 60% of the word attraction is action, and unless you're willing to do something to achieve what you want, it's not just going to come to you, but you also have to sustain it and be focused on what it is that you've set yourself on to do. because focus is follow one course until successful. If you stick with it, with your initial impetus, that gun that went off in your head, and now you're running, waiting for the right time, you can miss the right time because you're always waiting for the right time, and the right time could go by while you're waiting for it. You have to do it.
Dave, you are on point. Thank you for sharing that. You know, the Create, Live, Be mindset movement, it's based on the Create, Live, Be philosophy, which was what was given to me as the way to recover from my procrastination tendencies. And the formula is vision plus action equals results. And the action piece is the piece that most people move there. As you say, Mr. Cooper, it's analysis paralysis. We overthink, stinking thinking, and this is where I want to transition and talk about some of those so-called obstacles or fears. Really, it's fears that prevent us from taking action. And two things that come to mind as we move into section 2, which is execution, which, as everyone so aptly brought out, is the critical component to manifesting what you see with your mind sight. Is seeing your vision is a great start, but if you never do anything to see your dreams come true, you will have lived an incomplete life. And unfortunately, so many people go to their graves with all their dreams with them. They're buried. And so one thing I know that causes people to shrink back is that worthiness factor. Am I worthy of sharing this message? Is it going to be received in the right way? What will other people think? And all of this stinking thinking starts to infiltrate. So, Mr. Cooper, let's start talking about what holds us back, because it's great to know about vision and how to write it down and make it plain and take action, but what is it that is preventing entrepreneurs or even aspiring entrepreneurs from just taking that leap of faith?
I'm going to summarize it in 3 quick areas. One is fear, belief, and focus. Those are 3 of the big areas that stop people from executing or moving forward. We've heard that fear is false evidence appearing real, and that is so true. Fear is based on incidents in your past and an uncertain future. That's what fear is based on. Fear is never based on your now. You're living in your now. You know what you're living with and dealing with. Fear is always based on what's happened to me and what may happen to me. And it all stems from a mindset or the mind sight. You know, what your mind sees and receives, it perceives. And that's what tends to happen. So now let's take, for example, 2 people. Christine and I are walking down the street. We both see a sign that there are auditions for the next great speaker. Christine looks at it and says, oh, what a great opportunity. I look at it and say, oh, there's no way I could ever do something like that. Why? Because we both had an instant image of what we saw that could become in our minds. Christine saw a platform, I saw a predicament, and it stopped me cold. And now I'm stuck. And what tends to happen in the first chapter in that section, which is one of my favorites because I constantly have to go back to this one, is fear storm. You know, many things that we face spiritually, we also see here in this world. And we've all experienced thunderstorms. We've all experienced tornadoes. Well, hopefully you've never experienced one, but we know what tornadoes are. And fear storms are a tornado or a deep storm inside of yourself that is created by fear at trying to execute on something. We call it stress. We call it nerves. We call it jitters. That's getting through. Those are rain showers or fear showers in your body. But fear storms are when it mounts up and it becomes so big that you are finding yourself paralyzed. You can't move forward and you can't retreat back. You're stuck, and I'd like to refer to that Peanuts character that walked around with a cloud over his head. That's how you feel at that moment. Like everything is just pouring down on you. And the only way out of a fear storm is to go back to your faith file and to start to recognize what you've accomplished in your past and what is possible. For me, I simply have to reference back to this one verse that all things are possible through Christ who strengthens me. So I have to take the onus off of myself that I can't do this, I can't succeed, I can't. Everything's I focus and turn into we focus. Let's go, God, you and me, and we can see this thing through. And it opens up doors. And now you start to see the light in the storm. But so many people are just paralyzed in this process. And what we've done is, as we become mature, we've learned how to put a mask on it, how to make it look like something else. And that's what I did for years with the book. I even reference it in the book where I talk about the fact that when people would come to me and say, oh man, you should write a book. I'd say, well, yeah, but I'm so busy booking speaking engagements, or I'm so busy working with clients. I don't have time to work on a book. That wasn't the truth at all. I was afraid to write the book. I didn't believe I was qualified to write the book. I didn't think what I had would be impactful to society to write a book. And that's what stopped me. And I had to literally listen and hear the input from not only me, but from others that were challenging me to be great. So if your friends aren't pushing you, they're not friends. And you need a new group of friends. Because friends should be people that love you, push you, and correct you. And they should be there for you through all of that.
Absolutely. Did he break it down or what? Fear Storms is one of my favorite chapters, if not the favorite. My acronym for fear is now Face Everything and Rise. And you're so right. We have to tap into that strength that's beyond our human strength. And that scripture you quoted is, of course, one of my all-time favorites. Before we transition, I just want to do a quick station check, as Geo Boom always says. This is CLB Live. We're discussing From Crackers to Caviar with one of my favorite people and mentors, Mr. James Cooper. He's the author of this book, From Crackers to Caviar, and we're discussing the seeds of success. I just shared in the comment stream my gift to you. Fear Storms, Kit, thank you for sharing and being open and honest with your truth. She said, I'm so familiar with Fear Storms. Jess said she downloaded the Fear Storms chapter and wrote all over it. I could see everyone kind of nodding in agreement. So fear is something that faces us, that we all face, including yours truly. And this chapter for me is a way for me to help you bust through whatever limiting beliefs you have in your mindset so that you can actually walk in your purpose in 2015. So you can visit christinelbowen.com/From Crackers to Caviar, and that will allow you to download your free chapter, and you can write your notes and create your plan for 2015. And we'll be posting that all over social media. So if you don't have the link, no fear. Ooh, I said no fear. So let's talk about, the time is slipping away so quickly, and time flies when you're having fun. So I want to talk a little bit about, and this is why I'm so excited to have one of my other favorite people on the planet, Mr. Rule Breaker himself, on the panel, because what allowed me to connect with him so deeply is the fact that so many people allow societal or society conditioning of the masses, the way that the masses think, the way that the masses see the world, to influence who they are as entrepreneurs. And to me, what has been one of the most amazing revelations in my entrepreneurial journey and in my life journey is just being true to who I am and marching to the beat of my own drum and what's inspired within myself to come out. And a lot of people are afraid to do that, and you address that in this book as well. So can we talk a little bit about that? How do we break from the status quo and march to our own beat and do so fearlessly?
So are you referencing breaking all the rules?
Yeah.
So I've been a closet rule breaker for a number of years. And what I found is that most of us are stuck in a paradigm that was created by someone else for us. They thought it was best, or they thought it was where we fit. And we don't fit in boxes. We don't fit in their paradigm. And we have to find our way through. And for me, even when I joined the military, I got in trouble initially because they called me a Y airman. I was in the Air Force. And you're given an order and you're supposed to just salute and say, sir, yes, sir, or ma'am, yes, ma'am, and go follow the order. Many times I would ask why. I need to understand the why so I can do it correctly. Well, it infuriated them because they thought I was being disrespectful. No, I just need to understand so that I could execute it the best way possible. And once we learned that language, I figured it out and got a little bit better. But that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. I didn't realize that breaking rules is part of being an entrepreneur and finding problems to solve. And for me, and for many of us out there, we are operating under a false set of rules that were planted there years ago, and it's part of our operating system. They're bugs, they're viruses, they're adware, they're different things that have been planted in us, and it is slowing us down. Our processing speed is slowed down because we are following someone else's programming. And for me, I had to clean all of that out. It had to all go. And I had to find my truth. And I had to find that, once again, in that environment. I had to find out what drove me passionately, what things, either positively or negatively. I had to find what it is that makes me tick, what is it that moves you forward. And the challenge is that most of us never take the time to do that. It's been written, a study years ago said that only 3% of the population actively think. Most of us, 97% of us, are just following programming day in and day out. An example of this is you're on your commute home. You're on the drive home. You've driven this road many times, and you're thinking about some things, and you look up and you realize you've driven 10 miles. And you don't remember that 10 miles of the drive because you're on autopilot. Many people are living their lives on autopilot, following a route, a GPS that someone else has planted in them. I'm challenging people, and we're challenging people to rip out that programming, and it takes some I'm trying to find a politically correct word. It takes some confidence and some passion in order to do this because you're pulling away the blanket that's been covering you all these years, and you're saying, yes, I'm willing to step out. Because when you do that, you're going to be attacked. Society, the system, the machine will not tolerate outliers. And that's what you're becoming at that point, is an outlier of their system. So you have to understand that people are going to push against you. And that's okay. Because the harder you push against me, the more I know I'm in the right path. And then you'll find like-minded people, your tribe, that believe in you and believe in that same mission, and then you can start to propel forward. So create your own environment by ripping out and throwing away theirs. And that's what breaking all the rules is all about. It's not about being socially or civilly disobedient. It's about being internally disobedient to the path that other people have laid before you.
Absolutely. Man, this is a powerful discussion, and it's 10:49 on the East Coast. More than likely, we're going to go a little overtime. I make up the rules as I go along. So if you're able to hang with us for extra 10 minutes or so, we'd love to have you. Thank you so much for being here. You're watching CLB Live with Mr. James Cooper, author of From Crackers to Caviar, and my beautiful Divine Connections. I want to just highlight a couple that checked in a little earlier that's here to support the show, and they're here supporting you, Mr. Cooper. That's Antonio and Karen Cheeks. They're in the audience. Yes. I met Antonio and Karen through the Coopers, and they're just such a beautiful couple and quite sharp cookies as well in the entrepreneurial world, and definitely marching to their own beat. I just see that your wife checked in, Regina Cooper. I don't know if she got that squirrel under control, but welcome to you as well.
The squirrel hunter.
What's that?
She is now known as the squirrel hunter.
She needs her own hangout. Absolutely. So, Roy, I just wanted to highlight your comment. Thank you for sharing it in the comment stream. He says, what I have found about facing my fears is that it's easier to do when I have a small group of people that allow me to be me and face my fears with them and them with me. I absolutely love that and totally agree. Also wanted to highlight a question from the audience, but before I do that, I know that there's a few people that in the panel that want to share in the discussion. So I think it was Gio and then Phil that had comments. Gio, how about you first?
Yeah, you know, the 3% metric, it was one so astounding, and the way that that I discovered it was those they people, scientists, determined that most of us are only fully awake, aware, and on purpose 3% of our waking lives.
Wow.
Right. And so one of the things that was brought up was that when we become outliers, when we stand in our fire, in our passion, in our vision, that we will engage resistance. The reality is when you bump from 3% to 6 or 9, those are quantum leaps. And people start viewing you as a wizard or some sort of magician. The reality is the more focused we are on our results, the more divinely we are aligned through inspiration, we can actually see resistance when it's coming down the pipe and work around it, work under it, go over it. But the reality is the more we pay attention, the more focused we are on our purpose and our vision, the more we can accelerate our results and serve a greater number of people. So that number, 3%, is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. Just a little uptick in paying attention and being on purpose creates miracles. And miracles are waiting for us around every corner.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Cooper. Did you have a response?
No, I thought what you said was just so on point. Can you imagine just doubling that to 6% and the amount of impact that we could have on a society? You know, all the things that we can actually address and solve ourselves, as opposed to following the programming and waiting for a government or for someone else to step up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
if I can jump in, the reality is we're the small mind, the mind that is not aligned with your heart and with divine instruction and direction, thinks, who am I to make a change in the world? When you jump from 3 to 6 and 9, you become the source and resource. You become the instrument of change and the agent of change. And so anything can be accomplished with the desire and the will to be an instrument for divine change and inspired change.
I love that. I have absolutely nothing to add to that. Phil Boyer, Mr. Rule Breaker, you said you had a comment to share.
Yeah, I think fear and rules go hand in hand. I think we follow rules because it's easy and because it's we have an excuse when things go wrong. Well, I was following this rule over here, so it's not my fault, right? And I think we definitely need to tap into our passion. And if we're tapped into our passion and living our passion every day, then we begin to create our own rule book, right? I think fear is an important factor because we need to use that to check ourselves and make sure that we're going where we need to go. But we can't let it stop us or paralyze us, right? And I think by following other people's rules, we never get to that point of fear where we can check ourselves, where we understand who we are and where we're going. So I think rules are important, but they need to be our rules. We need to be creating our own rules, you know, and not following other people's agendas and other rules. Their rules got them where they are. Those rules work for them. So we can't look at their success and their rules as a guideline. We have to create our own and tap into ourselves.
Create your own rules. Love it. Hashtag love it. Definitely, definitely. That to me has been the biggest aha moment over the last almost 5 years, is when we do have the courage to put our big toe over that fear line and exercise our individuality and express that individuality. It is the most empowered feeling ever. So if you can just get past the limiting beliefs right here with all of those fears, false evidence appearing real, take action despite that, you would be amazed at the results. I know that Andy Bryan, you said you wanted to share as well?
Yeah, I think fear's very interesting, and in relation to conforming to what we are said is the way we should do things in life is always very interesting. But fear is, again, just an emotion that's something that we might be worried about doing in the future. And yet, when we think about doing something different, something that might not be conforming to what everybody else is doing in life, we have that fear that we might not succeed, we might not move forward, and we might not have the life we want to have. And yet, that doesn't allow us to be truly individual, truly ourselves. And we find ourselves being very much, this might, I'll say it in a good way, but we're like robots, so many different people being the same, and we're each individual, we're each unique. And when we stand out of our fear and we do start not conforming by other people's rule books, but like Phil says, creating our own rule books, we start to deliver our passion in a way that can inspire others and can make a difference. And it's only until that we will have success in life, I believe. So.
Absolutely, Andy. Thank you for bringing that out. Yeah, it's so important for us to realize that I consider us to be fingerprints of the divine. There's no two fingerprints that are alike. And so many people are so consumed with being a carbon copy of someone else, and that is just not a fulfilling way to live. You end up being frustrated most of the time because you just truly cannot be what someone else is, because they are who they are. So individuality is very, very, very important. Kit, you had a great comment here in the private chat in the HOA room. I'd love you to share it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the whole conversation is so inspiring, and I have to say this, James, first. When I was first invited to the show, I believe in the power of words to communicate somebody's personality. I truly believe words can speak. So I picked up the book and I thought, hey, it's going to be a quick read. I'll be done in an hour. For 3 days, I've been immersed in what you're trying to tell me, because it seems like you've written this book for me, because at this point, I needed to hear what you had to say. So I'm going to go to Christine and say thank you for writing this book. And that's it. Fear. Oh my God, I'm so familiar with the concept of fear. But I agree with Phil that fear, at least I can speak for myself, my fear has always stemmed from my fear to take responsibility for my actions. When you take control of your life, you're responsible for what happens to you. And most people are not ready for that. They want to cop out. They want to put the blame on someone else. And I've done that for 3 decades, so I know that. So right now, I'm ready to, I wouldn't say shed that fear, but more like embrace the fear, make fear my friend. Mm-hmm. And I think all of us are always going to feel fear. I don't think you'll ever get over being afraid. It's just how you respond to that fear is what is going to determine, what kind of progress you're going to make in your life.
Amen to that, because fear can actually fuel us to do more and take action. So definitely, well said, well said. Folks, we're at the top of the hour. We're going to go over about 10 minutes because there's so much more that we can extract from this book. But my encouragement to you is, first and foremost, please accept my gift to you. My gift to you is a download of one of my favorite chapters, if not the favorite, Fear Storms. You can download that at christinelbowen.com/From Crackers to Caviar. And that will give you access to your download. You can also purchase the book for yourself and a few of your friends and family members, so they too can start their new year off right. So before we wrap up the show, I'd like to extend the invitation to the panel to take turns. We'll start with my good friend Roy Montero, and then I'm going to move along as I see everyone in the strip. Share one takeaway from today's episode and one call to action, either for yourself for the new year or what you'd like to admonish our audience and viewers to do for 2015. So, Roy?
Yeah, thanks, Christine. You got stuff inside? Use it. If you don't, you lose it, or it never gets... The seeds, I love the word seeds. You got to plant, you got to water, you got to do whatever you got to do, and then there's the harvest. So I love stirring up the seeds, or as I like to say, the gift that lies within all of us. So when somebody enters my life, I look for ways to encourage them to do what they do best, which sometimes is in their blind spot. Your brilliance is in your blind spot. So help one another to see this and acknowledge it and recognize it for them because they can't see it for themselves. Thanks, Christine.
Oh, thank you, and thanks for being here. It truly, truly means a lot to me. And next, Phil Boyer, your parting words of advice?
There is no shortage of learning out there, and I gotta say, find what resonates with you, make it your own, and act on it. Take action. That would be my takeaway, and what I would encourage people to do. As far as a call to action, I just released a book a couple months ago, Coloring Outside the Lines. Kind of goes along with this discussion a little bit. I'd love it if you went and picked it up, and that's it. Thank you.
And where do we find your book?
Amazon, Kobo, and Barnes & Noble. You can go to philboyer.com/books. With all the links are there.
Yeah, he's very humble. Thank you for sharing that, Phil, but you got to go get his book. Phil is one of the most gifted minds that I've met in today's world. So that book will definitely accelerate your success as well in 2015. Thank you for being here, Phil. I know you're not a morning person, so it's an honor to have you here with us on CLB Live.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Kit, any parting words of advice for our audience?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here, Christine. Thank you for introducing me to your divine connection. Really, I should say I love you, James. You're a great guy. So thank you for coming into my life and really inspiring all of us to live our vision, not somebody else's. That'll be my takeaway. Live your vision, don't live somebody else's vision. Know your why. And the other thing I would say is something I shared on Facebook yesterday, and something that I believe in is that give yourself permission to set your own pace in life. Not compare yourself to people who have gone ahead of you or who are maybe behind you. It's your life, it's your story, it's your music, it's your movie. Make it a blockbuster.
Ooh, Kit. You see, she's a quiet storm. When she opens her mouth, wisdom, honey. Thank you. I love what you shared. Thank you for being here today with us. Next, we have Kate Boyer. What are your parting words of advice?
Well, first I want to say I want to start every morning like this with all of you people here and in the comments, because it's the way to start a day. I love the site, execution, excellent, determination. So if you don't know where to start but you want to start something, definitely those 4 steps will get you going. I put this in the comments, but I just wanted to say that I now live each day as the future. And when I get in that mindset, I start doing stuff. So that's what really helps me. And my call to action would be, come on over and see the Kate Show. It's not your usual hangout. It's a event. It's small little episodes, about 5 minutes that I put together. And this Tuesday, we're having the Christmas holiday special.
And where do we go to plug into that show?
Here on G+, and also on YouTube. So if you want, you can follow me on G+ here, or give me a shout out and I can give you an exact link. But it's just something fun. It's almost like this little miniature movie that I do, and it's all my season 1 of the Kate Show is inspired by my book, How I Quit Email and Followed My Dreams.
Awesomeness. Folks, before we move on to the next panelist, I'm walking in the footsteps of giants here on Google+. Kate and Phil are my creative mindset muses. They sing to my heart, to the deepest depths of my soul, with what they're doing on Google+, and just on a global scale with their creativity. So definitely attach yourself to Kate Boyer and what she's doing with her book and the way that she's sharing her message. Thank you for being here, Kate. It means a lot. Next, we have Jess Duell. I know you have some parting words of advice for us today.
Okay, we should just talk about this for the next 4 Saturdays or something, because it was really hard to just sit here and listen, yet it was amazing to receive and hear everything that was shared. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you, everybody, for what you shared today, because really what I'm about is setting our own standard. Who is that? And there were echoes of that all the way around. And early in the conversation, my takeaway was the story that you shared, James, about you having one response to an idea and Christine having a different response to that same idea, and how maybe when our response is, oh, I don't know, ooh, all I see is obstacle. Well, guess what? Isn't it cool that what we're supposed to do, when we hear it and we get that resistance, typically the solution is standing right next to us. And that's the part that I really took away. I was like, you know, how cool is that? We all have our natural inborn strengths. The things that we don't even think about being obstacles are here to help others rise up and fill the shoes that they have decided that they will wear. So that was my takeaway for today. And thanks again for having me. And you can find me at infusionprinciple.com with my co-founder Nora Whalen, and connect with me on G+. I want to know. I want to know how you're setting your own standard.
Every time she speaks, I'm mesmerized. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Jess, and thank you for allowing me to really step into my greatness in 2014. You have been just a true treasure and light in my life this year. Next, we're going to close out with Geo Boom. What are your thoughts? Final words of advice.
Well, I think we're all in agreement. This morning has been a grand blessing. And my call to inspiration and action is to seek out inspiration and confirmation. What we've all experienced here today are things that we know either instinctually or we're on the verge, the cusp of taking in as truth. I would encourage everybody to go online and get James Cooper's book. Everything we've talked about today are things and principles that I use in the Mindfulness Advantage. They're things I teach and that I choose to learn every day. And I require that confirmation, that affirmation, that reflection back to me. And that's what I've received today from everyone on the panel, and especially from James Cooper. So, James, thank you for writing the book. I'm placing my order this afternoon. And anyone who's curious, and curiosity is one of the pillars of mindfulness, can find me at themindfulnessadvantage.com. And again, thank you for the honor of being on this panel and for meeting James. James, I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, Geo Boom, for being here. Yeah, we're definitely divine connections. Next, we have Dave Moore across the pond. What are your closing thoughts, sir?
Yeah, there's so many takeaways from this conversation that we've had. I work a lot with people who seem to spend a lot of time on autopilot, and that was good to hear that spoken about, because I think one of the things that becomes evident is if everyone said exactly what was on their mind right now, most people would be speechless. It's because people are just drifting and drifting and drifting, waiting for something to guide them. If we can create some form of critical mass that would turn that around to make everybody present and aware and living in the now, you know, the world would be a far greater place. And the fear element that you spoke about, if people want to be outstanding in their life, they have to stand out. And a lot of people have a fear of standing out and being different to other people because their belief is that there's fear involved. But it's just a belief. Belief has no connection with reality. Nothing in a world that is real needs to be believed in. It's there. You don't need to believe in it to make it real. People have issues in their life where they've got stuck, and they repeat that again and again because it's not what happened to them that they're stuck with, it's the significance of the event. And when you realize the significance of the event, it's just that event, it shouldn't color or detract from anything you want to do in the future. You should be constantly moving. My call to action is simply that: take some action.
I love that. It's as simple as that, right? Absolutely. Thank you so very much for being a part of the final episode of Season 1 of CLB Live. I'm looking forward to great things for us in 2015. last panelist before we close out with our honored guest is Andy Brine. Andy, what are your closing thoughts?
I'd just like to say thanks again. It's been it's a great way to start the afternoon instead of the morning across to the pond. But no, there's a lot of inspiration that's been shared today by some inspiring people. And James, I look forward to reading your book as well. There's a lot to take in and a lot to consider. I think fear is something that we all face and something that we all need to embrace at the same time to move forward. In terms of moving forward to 2015, I was just thinking of takeaway messages as you were all delivering yours. And for mine, it would be the holiday season is approaching, and the end of the year. Take some time out for yourself and really start to connect with yourself and your message, and seek peace at this time, so that you can gain clarity and gain a bit of perspective, so that you can move forward in 2015 and start embracing change and individuality, like we spoke about today, so we can move forward and we can each be unique and individual. And thanks again for having me on the panel, and it's been a real pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you for being here. Love your call to action. Thank you so much. Okay, last but certainly not least, definitely we have to close out with our guest of honor today, Mr. James Cooper. First, I just want to thank you for being here this morning with us. Thank you for your friendship, your truth, living in your truth, and both to you and Regina, actually, for demonstrating to me every single day what it means to live life with absolute faith. I just have to thank you for that. So what are your closing thoughts to share with our audience today, and how can we connect with you, and where can we order this book?
So a couple of things, and I just want to, again, thank you, Christine, for walking forward in faith and creating this platform for all these great minds to come together. I'm honored and I'm very privileged and humbled to be with you all. I think that the amount of brilliance that I've experienced today makes TED Talks look ridiculous. And no knock on TED Talks, but you guys just rocked it out loud, and I really enjoyed my time with you all today. You can find me in a few different places. On Twitter, it is Crackers, the number 2 caviar. Crackers, the number 2 caviar. You can find me Facebook. You can find me at James R. Cooper. That's my public page. And I will track you all down from there. Hopefully we can make even more connections with your audience and with your friends. And you can find our book on my website, fromcrackers2caviar.com. It's www.fromcrackers2caviar.com. We're looking forward to launching and doing more seminars. And Christine is going to teach me how to work a Mac and how to do this G+, Google Plus thingy that you all seem to be experts on. And so we're looking at utilizing this. We also are launching out onto YouTube, our YouTube channel, where we have what I call caviar moments. And I want to finish with a caviar moment today for everyone who's been a part of this, because you've blessed me so much. And here's some truths that I've realized in the last hour and 15 minutes being with you all. A couple of truths. One, believe in yourself because God believes in you, and that should be good enough. Two, love more because God is love, so you will never run out of love. There's always an inexhaustible supply of love in you, so love more and watch the results that happen in your life. The next one, live your life with purpose, passion, and desire. Because to live your life any other way is cheating yourself and cheating everyone around you. And finally, make your success non-negotiable. Make it a priority in your life every single day to live your life to your fullest and watch the success explode from out of you and around all the people with you. And those are the things I wish. I wish that you have a 2015 that goes beyond your wildest imagination, that you be blown beyond your thinking, that impossible becomes your lifestyle, that you live your life in a dream state every single day, living that dream and not living someone else's reality, and that you have a caviar life. Thank you, Christine.
I could listen to you all day long. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you for those beautiful, inspired words and calls to action. I have absolutely nothing to add, folks. We have an inspired panel. We had a lot of calls to action. My encouragement to you is join me on this journey of priming our mindset for success, greater success in 2015. Go to christinelbowen.com/from crackers to caviar. Download your copy. One second. Download your copy of Fear Storms. Start there. Break through the barriers of your life and live the life that you deserve in 2015 and beyond. Thank you for being here with us. You can catch the replay on demand at christinelbowen.com/CLB Live. That's christinelbowen.com/CLB Live. You will find the replay for this episode as well as all the episodes from season 1 at that URL. And share with a friend. Share with someone in your life or more people. Share with a friend or two. People that you want to carry with you on your journey to success in 2015. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank you for being a part of this journey that I am on. It is an honor to be the person to share this message of resetting our creative mindsets for success. I truly believe that that is where the foundation of all that is good, all that is abundant lies, is in our creativity. Don't be afraid to be that person that you were designed to be. God bless, and we will see you in season 2. Have a wonderful holiday season and a prosperous new year. Take care, everyone.